Hey everyone, so today's video we have previews of the seasonal hero's skills, and we got a little snapshot of her head here, a little ice wolf on top, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm going to go over her kit, and we're going to talk about how she's going to fit into the meta. Alright, so her name is Adelon. I believe that's how you pronounce that. So she does have a leader skill where all team members' attack is increased by 15%. This is similar to Guan Yu, so that's pretty cool. She does have a trait called Eternal Ice that says when an enemy has death immunity trigger, it applies frozen and unhealable to the target for 1 round, and then frozen on enemies do not get removed when attacked. So this is interesting, and the thing is before any heroes are like introduced into the game where you can see the actual kit, speeds, all of those things, it's really hard to judge on paper if somebody is going to be good. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The thing is whenever they say something like when an enemy has death immunity trigger, I don't know what that means in regards to the game code, right? Because you have heroes like Adeline, you have heroes like Oderic that have death immunity on their traits, but whether or not that is viewed as triggering if you take them down to 0, I don't know, right? So we do have to keep that in mind whenever we're reading skills like this. So there's not a whole lot of death immunity in the game. I also don't know if invincibility matters or anything like that. The way that I've read through this kit already, the way that I'm kind of reading this, it seems like this hero is meant to be a support for Ash Magisteria. That's the way I read it. Because I think the death immunity is going to be part of that rebirth mechanic that the little minions have in Ash. I think that's what that is. So that's just my theory. But again, until this hero is actually in the game, we'll have to test this stuff out. But I do want to bring in the skills because it's exciting. You know, it's something to talk about. Okay, so whenever this hero is ascended, and this is where the translation is weird, so you just want to wait until, you know, the game releases the hero. The ascended version does all of the stuff previous, where it applies the frozen and unhealable, but it also says it deals 120% damage to an enemy from the highest attack ally. This is weird, right? And also even the translation I got wasn't this. I'm like putting in a form that I think that they're talking about. So it's a little weird. So it deals 120% damage to the enemy from the ally with the highest attack. So this is a really interesting skill. Because she can just be a support hero, and then you can have somebody that has just some crazy high attack. You know, in this case, if we're talking about Ash, you know, we'll be talking about Kaysen or Rosalie, right? And this hero, every time you kill those minions, that hero is going to go in and do an ally attack, which is really cool if that's how it actually reads. And then it's 200% damage increased in dungeon battles, which is nice. But from a RTA or arena perspective, I don't quite know what this does. You know, being able, none of this trait does nothing unless death immunity triggers. So there's huge question marks around this trait when it comes to, a PvP setting. So from a dungeon setting, this is crystal clear that this is targeted for Ash Magisteria. The unhealable is really noticeable as well. If you come across like Ash himself, because he wants to heal. I don't know if he has any death immunity triggers or anything like that, but in the rest of the skill, she also puts up unhealable. So this hero is screaming Ash Magisteria. So the basic ability deals 90% damage to an enemy, and then has a 50% chance to apply frozen to somebody, and if they're a fire hero, it goes up to 100%. That's an okay basic ability. The problem with a hero like this is you need to build her with focus. And there's so many heroes in the game that ignore resistance. And for her to be viable, in an RTA strategy, it's going to be hard to build her. She's going to be very stat intensive with focus needing to be a main thing. So anyway, it's an okay ability. It's going to be decent, in like Void Tower Mythic, to pair with Onamaros and things like that. She's kind of a better version of Tidecaller. So that's that. So her special ability deals 130% damage to one enemy. If the target has Frozen already, it increases the duration of Frozen by a turn, and then applies Frozen to another random enemy for one turn. This is an okay special ability. The problem is it's dependent, on a previous effect. So someone already needs to be frozen for you to get any benefit out of this. The way I read this, and the way it reads, from Ace himself or herself, is this just does 130% damage if Frozen isn't anywhere, which is kind of bad. Like 130% damage is nothing, and then the target already needs to have Frozen. And if they don't, it just does nothing. So I really don't know how I feel about this ability, because I don't know, it just doesn't seem good. And then the ultimate deals 200% damage to one enemy and applies Frozen them for 2 turns. So just like Tidecaller, but she needs focus where Tidecaller doesn't. And then if the enemy is immune to or has removed Frozen, it then applies defense down 2 and unhealable to them for 3 turns. So the ultimate here is good against Ashe, the boss, because applying defense down 2 and unhealable is fantastic. It's one of the main reasons why Pluto is kind of viable in high-end Ashe. But this skill, I think, completely replaces him. And on top of that, if the trait works similar to how I think it works, then you're going to be sending in, your highest attack ally while also having the unhealable and defense down 2 up like almost every turn. So this is kind of good against Ashe. But this is all speculation, right? Now, talking about the hero in general. On paper, this hero does not seem like very good, right? From the perspective of Ashe, I think she seems very strong. We need to see how her trait works, but she's not going to be, very good in Guild versus Environment. She's not going to be very good in Rift of Chaos, and she doesn't look very good in a setting for like PvP. So unless they are missing some things in these hero skills, this is looking like one of the weaker heroes for sure when it comes to seasonal heroes. Crowd control heroes have definitely taken a hit because of karma, especially in a PvP setting. They don't have a whole lot of value in, boss fights because bosses are immune to crowd control. Now they've built in, some stuff here with her ultimate, not needing, doing something different even outside of the Frozen if it's against a boss, which is a defense down 2 and unhealable. So that is good, but the rest of her kit is just worthless then. Like from a boss perspective, the trait itself, like triggering death immunity to get value out of the trait is very niche. It's basically non-existent in PvP, right? So let's break this down because I'm kind of going on tangents. First things first, from Ashe Magister perspective, this is going to be a very strong hero. She's going to be good. The issue with Ashe is getting through the waves. So she doesn't really help with that. So that is a bigger problem. But once you actually get to the boss, she's going to help you immensely. So that's Ash. From Rift of Chaos, worthless, in my opinion. Void Tower Mythic, she's going to replace Tidecaller, I think, just because she puts up additional Frozens. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, she might actually even be worse than Tidecaller. So I don't. If you have Tidecaller, I don't think she replaces Tidecaller because he has the Unresistible on his ultimate, and then anytime they attack him, he can also put up freeze there. So I don't think she'll replace him. She could, but at best they're just interchangeable. So Void Tower Mythic and Ash are mostly her main uses. From a guild versus environment perspective, just not good. Now, from PvP. In PvP, I think she's definitely a way worse version of Tidecaller. She doesn't help with Karma. I mean, Karma just poops all over her. You know, she's just another version of like Onamaros from a PvP perspective, or Tidecaller. And yeah, Karma just crushes her. So that's bad. Depending on her speed, I mean, she might be an okay answer to somebody like Alicia. Like if she's fast enough, she could possibly be an option to Alicia. But her death immunity trigger thing, like if her trait was easier to trigger and then get this additional damage like from your highest attack ally, she could be a okay support hero. So yeah, it's just an interesting kit. I don't think it's great, but on the flip side, you know, there's been a couple seasonal heroes that you look at and you're like, I don't know if that's that good or whatever, and then all of the seasonal heroes have ended up being really strong. So I'm trying to be optimistic here, but on paper, the kit looks bad. Doesn't look really useful in a lot of areas, just maybe one or two. And, you know, we already have answers for Void Tower Mythic. So if she can help, you know, take you to Ash 19 and Ash 20 from an RGB perspective, she might be worth it. She's going to be easy to pull for people that have been saving up. So I think even just getting one copy of her is 100% something you should do. But yeah, sadly, a little disappointed in my opinion, but we'll have to wait and see until the hero is actually released in the game to really give a full perspective. I will have the trial hero next week, guys. So, you know, we'll ascend her to A5. We'll put as many books as I have into her. I think I've got like 9 right now. So hopefully I can get 1 or 2 more before then and really give, you know, a decent understanding of how good she is. So anyway, that's all we got for the video today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.